Kindly stay back on this stage for the next session, the keynote panel discussion. Niranjan will be moderating this session using the alphabetical order of the first name. Let me now invite on stage our distinguished panelists to join us. We start with Mr. Amit Kapil, Group CTO, Caparo Engineering India Limited. He's a strategist and a technology business leader with 28 years of experience of conceiving strategy, designing solution, benchmarking, and integrating business and IT in multiple manufacturing domain. He uses his expertise to eliminate business challenges and to attain business objective. Having a rich global experience of working with regional teams in several Asian countries as well as in Australia, USA, UK, and Germany, he is always leading transformation by defining and driving adoption of processes, resources, as well as new technologies. A warm welcome and thank you so much for joining us today. Our next speaker is Mr. Rajesh Dubbewar, Executive VP and SBU Head, Metallics and Advanced Plastic from Lumax Auto. Mr. Dubbewar joined Danish Auto Electricals, now known as Lumax Auto Technologies Limited, in 1998 as AM Manufacturing. With hard work, vision, expertise, and empathy, he has risen through the ranks and reached leadership position in the organization. With more than 2 decades of experience in the field of manufacturing, product development, and vendor development in the auto component sector, Mr. Dubbewar also being big believes in giving back to the industry as well as to the society. A very warm welcome, and it's a pleasure having you here today. Our next speaker is Mr. Vasanth Kamath, President Brose India Automotive System. With a rich experience spanning 3 decades, Mr. Kamath has not only witnessed the evolution of the automotive industry, but also has contributed to it with his expertise. Having started his career with Delphi Automotive Systems in 1994, he has spent almost 2 decades with the Brose Group in various capabilities. A mechanical engineer from the National Institute of Technology, Karnataka, Mr. Kamath also holds a Master of Science from the University of Michigan. A warm welcome, sir, and thank you so much for joining us. Our last but not the least speaker is Mr. Vinod Khode, Senior VP and Group CIO from Varroc. With a total work experience of 29 years in the field of information technology, Mr. Khode has worked extensively both in the USA as well as in India. Truly passionate about his domain, he has shown great flexibility in taking varied roles such as project manager, business IT leader, shared services IT leader, recruiter, mentor, finance planner, and success sponsor. His experience in India includes 12 years of working with a large team to deliver solutions for both Indian and overseas customers. A warm welcome, sir, and all yours, Niranjan.
Thank you. Hello. Once again, a warm welcome. And while I thanked a lot of people, I also want to personally thank all these people on the stage here. Mr. Rajesh Dubbewar, I met him very recently. ज़्यादा पुरानी पहचान नहीं है, but एक ही मुलाकात में वो कहते हैं ना, रिश्ता जुड़ जाता है, वैसे है. He has a very beautiful line, and I want to share that with you. जब हम पहली बार मिले थे, तो उन्होंने मुझे पूछा था कि what is your कड़ी पत्ता? So I was surprised. I said, what is this? So he said, he believes in giving back to the society. When you go to purchase vegetable from your regular vendor, आप जब 150 रुपए की 200 रुपए की सब्जी खरीदते हो तो आपको एक कड़ी पत्ता फ्री दे देता है. That is his way of showing gratitude and appreciation. So he says each and every human must ask this question to yourself: कि what is your kadi patta? How are you showing your gratitude and appreciation to your industry and to your society? That has stayed with me, and I think we should clap hands for that. Amit ji ke बारे में क्या कहूँ? He has been already introduced. He's the group CTO for a big organization like Caparo, and he is one of the persons behind the screen for this particular conference. He's been our mentor. He's been our guide. He's been helping us through a lot of things. So thank you so much, Amit, for that. Really appreciate it. And he's flown all the way from Delhi just for this event. So that says a lot about the kind of support he wants to give us. I'll come to Vasanth the last. Mr. Khode, I know him for about 3-4 years now, and he's been with the Varroc group Very ground to earth, very simple, very humble person. He's achieved a lot of big things in his life as a professional. His expertise in the IT industry is absolutely amazing. If you just go through his profile, we could not do justice in those 3 4 lines. But what an amazing person. The industry is really lucky and fortunate to have a leader like this on board. Thank you so much, Mr. Khode. एंड जैसे हम डेजर्ट लास्ट में रख देते हैं, वसंत हैज़ बीन माई फ्रेंड फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 15 years नाउ, एंड वेन एवर आई हैव एन इवेंट, वसंत नेवर सेज नो टू दैट, unless of course there is some family emergency or he has his daughter's exams having. Otherwise he is always there for me, and thank you so much. You've not just been an industry leader, you've been a close friend of mine. Thank you so much for that, really appreciate it. So we have about 45 minutes, just 4 of you, so I think we should manage it, right? Okay. uh, the manufacturing industry, I'll not say automotive manufacturing, I'll say manufacturing industry. Irrespective of whatever revolutions happen, whatever disruptions happen, the basics always remain the same. QC, DMS, right? Quality, cost, delivery, morale, and safety. We could add 2 more elements to it, considering today's overall environment, which is innovation and sustainability, right? So maybe it could be I and S further added to that. But nevertheless, the basics always remain the same. So I'd like to start with Vasanth, you first, because you are from the hardcore manufacturing side. So, very important point in today's world, which we have, is leveraging technology, right? In the context of all these 6 7 elements that I mentioned, how can the Indian automotive ecosystem leverage technology to become not just profitable but also globally competitive?
So thank you, Niranjan, for opening the panel discussion with me. So I think we are in a very good position and very fortunate position right now in India, because there is always a question about what is going to happen with China. When the entire world was looking for a manufacturing base, I think China was the go-to destination till about 4 years ago. And then the world awoke, after the corona pandemic, to what more can we do outside of China. And that has really opened up a lot of opportunity, I believe, for India. And here I think India can, we have a excellent IT hub, a base with which we can further leverage our technology and definitely leapfrog the entire world as far as manufacturing is concerned. Because while it took a lot of evolution for the Chinese efficiency and the Chinese manufacturing industry to grow, I think we can learn a lot, and we can definitely speed up what they have been able to accomplish within about 15 years, to do that in a much shorter period of time. And then we are globally competitive, and then the world, we can cater to that, from India. So I think definitely we can put some focus into what are the solutions that are available already in India, how we can learn from the other people that have already gone ahead of us and further capitalize on that.
Thank you so much. Amit, I'd like to come to you. Everything is all about people at the end of the day. Yeah. So, how can organizations effectively not just motivate but also engage employees to enhance retention? Very important, because other industries are taking away people from the manufacturing industry today, and also productivity in today's competitive landscape.
Okay, first of all, thanks for having me here. I think irrespective of, as you said, technology or platform or people are, they're the core for any organization. It's not the organizations, they don't create people. People are the ones who create organizations. They are the one who, create that brand. So, I think there are a couple of things which organizations must look at, and, they must practice. One is that, there has to be a respect and a trust. You cannot have an organization, where there is no trust in the people. Gone by are the days, when you can do micromanagement and you want everything to be contained with you, and and you drive those users. I think one thing is that definitely the trust and the respect. Second is, you need to recognize them But recognition is not something for which one should wait for, the annual appraisals or, an year to pass by, okay? So people need to be recognized and rewarded at the right time, in the right audience, and on the right platform, So it has to be a combination of three. Somebody does a good job today, you should not wait for that recognition to go to that gentleman or that lady, after 6 months. It has to be then and there. And reward does not mean that, it's always, it has to be monetary. It's just having a pat in your town hall. That itself makes a lot of difference. Third is that, I think when we talk about, since, the audiences of manufacturing, we all carry that legacy thought process of having shop floors, where, hygiene was used to be the last criteria. It was more towards, creating a product and shipping at right time to the right customer. I think that, I think one of the biggest factor today is, what kind of work environment you are giving to the people, whether it's your office or it's your shop floors, So I think that makes a lot of difference, because they need to have that belongingness of that place, because they spend some 10 hours of their day on that floor, So that has to be that belongingness. Third is that, the concept of, many years back, there used to be a show, a Coffee with Karan, So I've practically experienced it, that, the moment you have these kind of engagements and platforms made available, where they can walk up to your leadership, where they can talk like a friend, like an open, discussion, where the things are not noted or minutes of the meetings are not made, okay? These are all informal thoughts shared across the table, remains in that room in confidence, and then, but those are acted upon, So this is a different stream which you need to create, It can't be something like, with everything can't be, on paper, But that doesn't mean that you do wrong things, But this is like a trust which we create between a leader and your user. Another one is that give them the opportunities where they can, go beyond their boundaries or define rules. They need to give them a platform where they can think out of the box. They should not be hesitant of coming up to you and support them in their purpose and support them for their failures. Which means that if they have a thought which that it's going to fail, but it doesn't bring in a lot of financial loss, credibility, or any compromise to the product, allow them to brainstorm that. Today they must fail, but tomorrow they will definitely going to come up with something which is totally going to be a big a benefit to the business. So I think these are some components which I believe, as in what I've seen, and they contribute. And besides that, some other very common which everybody practice, their welfare in terms of their insurances, policies and procedures, where we bring them an engagement, with their families and all. So these are the factors which, take the, your employees and your users along.
So beyond work, we have to look at things like rewards, recognition, welfare, and of course flexibility, right? Yeah. Rajesh, I'd like to come to you. Last time when we met, you were a little late in coming because you had to meet somebody from your team, and that person was going through a certain challenge in his personal life, and he was very hesitant to speak about it to even with the HR. But he came to you, he spoke to you, you resolved that issue. So taking the same cue I had from what Amit is sharing with us, how do you think leaders can further engage people? Because breaking that barrier is very important. Your team members don't feel that barrier, but what more should leaders do on this front?
So first of all, congratulations to you and Ramya for your first day of your new journey.
Thank you.
And thank you for calling us. Niranjan, basically what I think, the one questions which person or a industry should ask themselves that why do organization fail? Most probably I personally think that organization fail because they forget why did they born. हम पैदा क्यों हुए थे, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन चालू क्यों की थी. So at Lumax, basically we created an organization, our founder, to uplift the people, employees, society, and family. So what always I tell that we spend our day in discussions, meeting, debate, probably gossiping. But we do not spend our time on the conversation. What he said that is the right way. Are you engaging your team for the conversation basically? Because the moment you start conversations, I think it becomes informal, and the right energy will flow from both the sides, or right issues will flow from both the sides. Today, as a leader, I always say whether you call for manufacturing excellence or new technology innovation, it will start from top. Today, again, the organizations are basically trying to retain people by left, right, center, which we generally try to avoid it. What I am saying that today, keeping a person in the organization is the priority first. Whether he's performing or not performing is a different thing, because he should not go out of the organization. What I personally think that we need to understand the differentiation between the incentive schemes and the logical decisions. Because personally, I have witnessed many times in my life, incentive scheme works as long as the donkey is young enough, load is light enough, and the carrot is sweet enough. इसमें से एक भी चीज हिल गई ना, it doesn't work. It doesn't work, and then it collapse. Typical example is what happened with the G. They were like very hard retaining people and firing people. Down they are no more in the top 100 also, I think. So that is very important. Second important thing is that organization also try to understand the reason why they are into the business. The problem with the rat race is that even if you win, you are still a rat. So as a leader, they want to become a rat or they want to become lion is a issue of a leadership which they need to define.
Right. So you need
Yeah.
to address the basic
Basic
question as to
thing.
why you are in the business.
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Vinod, I'd like to come to you. Organizations take care of their manufacturing operations, their people, focus on excellence. But if there is a supply chain disruption, all this goes down the drain, right? And we've seen that happen over the last 4 or 5 years, and it's become a regular thing now. So how can automotive organizations, whether they're OEMs or tier 1 or tier 2 or even the SMEs, become more resilient in terms of supply chains? Because we see a lot of global disruptions happening and we are no more isolated. So if something happens in Vietnam, something happens in Brazil, that obviously will have some impact in the Indian market also. So how do you do that?
So, thank you, and I think again congratulations to you and Ramya.
Thank you.
For this first day, and I guess more event like this.
Thank you.
And thanks for giving the opportunity. So I think the question that he asked, there are two things that this comes out is resilience and disruption, right? So if we look back at all the events which has happened in the recent past, not long ago. So we had a pandemic, we had Suez Canal disruption. Some of us, we didn't notice there was a Panama Canal disruption as well, different reason. Earlier to that, a very big event which happened, which impacted a lot of industry, was the Fukushima tsunami. A set of electronic suppliers were wiped out in matter of minutes. And then we have other incidents like chip shortage and the war, of course. So I think these are all things that we have reacted to. Most of us, we reacted to after this happened. There were a lot of big organizations who had anticipated this. Like I purposely mentioned Panama Canal because that event which happened is, I think you probably know why this disruption happened in Panama Canal, because there was shortage of water. Panama Canal needs water to lift the ship and then bring it back. If there is no water, that doesn't happen. And some of the smart people, especially the insurance people, they have invested and they were able to predict using their machine learning that this is going to happen. What they did is they jacked up the price. They were prepared, and it's like this is how you make money if you are prepared. So coming back to the part that how to prevent this is anticipating, and anticipating is a science. It needs a lot of investment in the organization. A lot of us who are listed company, we as a part of the SEBI process, we need to in the board meeting, we need to have our enterprise risk management presented. So ERM is a very strong thing. In developed countries, ERM is taken more seriously. We have just started. We are just in the business of collecting data. SEBI and SEC probably is not, looking at the content, but they will eventually. And if I'm right, it is enforced for the top 500 to 1000 companies in India, but they are planning to extend it across more companies. So which means that ERM is where you will be able to actively identify the risks in each area, not just supply chain. uh, Supply chain also gets impacted if there is a ransomware attack. So there are a lot of other areas where you have to do that. And how do you do, like, for one example is in supply chain especially, uh, the visibility of what is being dealt with and analysis on a continuous basis is very important, because that will help you to take quick decisions. Now if I take example of Suez Canal, when that happened, people who were aware that this is happening, they also knew what will be the implication. Overnight, this about average $10 per cubic feet container cost went up to 800. And then ultimately in some sector which is very heavy, where there's a lot of traffic, it went to 3000. People who were prepared, they were able to book the container in the alternate route early because there's a shortage. So you win. Okay. So I think the visibility and analysis and continuous business intelligence is important, and that's where people use a lot of technology there. And that's what I would also advise: is just not do ERM as a ERM just to ticket mark, but it has to be practiced. Okay, and there are a lot of technology. Another example that I just read about, which a lot of people are trying out, is Maersk is one of the known player in this container business in the global supply chain. And they, along with IBM, they have come up with this TradeLens software. TradeLens is a blockchain solution, and even you don't need to be expert in that. It's basically whatever you are dealing with is visible in a very simple terms. And I think visibility of what is getting transacted, we also go through it. Like if you're traveling with a train and you buy a bottle of water, you still have a doubt, pata nahi hai kahan se bhara hai, right? But if there's a QR code, you scan it and it tells that where was it filled, how did it move, and it has reached you, you will be more comfortable. And the recent war, if they knew where the pager is moving, they would have been able to avoid it. So that is the importance of visibility. And I think these tools like this, which the provider themselves is giving, I think if the company take advantage of that, that's going to be there. But I think in interest of time, I can talk more on some example, but these are my views. Thanks.
Sure. But as you said, if it is connected, it can be tracked, right? And that is more important. While each of the panelists have shared their perspectives on the first question, I'd like to open the discussion to the audience. In case anybody has any questions, any observations, please raise your hand. We'll be very happy to take questions from you. Or if you just want to share something, please feel happy to do that. Anybody? कुछ पूछना है? Yes, please. Kindly identify yourself and let us know if it is directed at somebody in specific.
Yeah. So myself, Durgesh Khasnis. I'm from GKN Fokker Elmo from
Okay.
Chakan. So my question to the entire panel. So you said about respect and trust. So how do we build this respect and trust, and any specific guidelines that you can share with the industry?
See, for respect, I think nowadays what has happened, we expect that, most of the supervisors or managers or HODs, they expect that, they should be greeted by their team. Okay, why not other way around? Why not when we walk in? I think most of us, when we enter our facilities, be it our condos or our offices or our manufacturing plants, I think the first people whom we come across is either a security guard or a janitor or a housekeeping guy. What stops them from stopping by and greeting them, or knowing from which region they come, who's in their family, what the kids are doing? No, it's basically knowing another person and being gentle with them. There's a difference in being firm and being rude. I can still communicate with my team member, and I can pass on the same communication which I want to by staying firm and avoiding being rude. So that's the respect. And when you do that, respect is a two-way traffic. Don't expect that somebody will give it to you. You have to earn it. So when you give it, it comes back to you. And it comes back to you, it bounces back much, it multiplies. And trust is, I think, there is no concept of, in IT, you have 0 or 1. Either you have it or you don't have it. It cannot be, on a case-to-case basis. That today I trust him, tomorrow I don't trust him. So you need to, make sure that, when you talk about trust, it's a belief. And that belief only comes when you also, have that belief on that either a subject or, or that agenda or that objective or that vision or the project or whatever. So, so my, takeaway is that, when we talk about respect, first we need to start giving it, and second is that trust. Trust is, it's very simple. Like if you keep your ethics, you keep your integrity intact, that trust will automatically, it will come in.
Does that answer your question? Okay. So what I understand, to put it in simple words, being a professional should not come in the way of showing empathy to people around you, right? I mean, you can be empathetic and professional at the same time. At the same time, absolutely. Wasn't you wanted to add a point to that? I thought you were going to get the mic.
Yeah, I think the only thing I wanted to add was that, but I think he covered it. It's always a two-way street. That you can't expect that you will have respect just one way. I mean, you have to be the one that also gives it, right? And that's how you generate it. And the second point is, as far as trust, I think open communication always promotes having more trust. If you have a problem, you talk about it, and not in a rude way, but definitely, try to reach some solution, and then you will see that within your team, you will build up more trust as well.
Please.
I'll just give you one example, and it happened, I think, day before. So, and it's my professional example. I've got a team member who was in that call sitting here. So I got a feedback that, from 2 business heads in 1 month, where they talked about that, they gave me some feedback, okay? And I found that it's a, I felt that, there's a gap which has been created in trust and the belief. So what I did, rather than, getting that business head and the person in my team whom we was talking about, rather than confronting them, okay, what I did, I just set up a 30-minute call with my pan-India team. I bring them in a single forum. I ask them simple question that, you answer me these 3 questions, and it's a feedback for me. And it got resolved. And without even, before I, name those 2 gentlemen, they themselves opened up that what happened, and that's the way. And it just got, it was put to bed forever. So what you just shared, the communication, it is very, very important.
Okay, that was a good question. Anybody else? Cool. So we'll get back to the panelists then. I'd like to stay with you, Vasanth, and continue with the point that Vinod was raising about supply chain resilience. He mentioned that insurance companies nowadays have this provision with machine learning to predict what's going to happen. Of course, automotive industry doesn't have that kind of provision as yet, and ethically it is not correct also. But how do you prepare yourself for disruptions as a tier 1 supplier? I mean, we met recently and you mentioned that Europe is going through a very bad phase, North America is going through a very bad phase, but there are hopes in the Indian market, there are hopes in Africa, there are hopes in the other markets also. So, but again, these markets are also vulnerable, they are also prone to facing these disruptions. How do you even prepare yourself for these?
So I think the first thing starts with the mindset, right? I think I work mainly for I work for a German company, and we are very strong on planning. So and this worked very well for many years. But again, I go back to the fact that with COVID, a lot of disruption happened in the Indian market. I mean, we are much more prone to volatility, right? And so you have to prepare the team that you have to maintain a certain amount of agility so that you can deal with any disruptions that can come. So that is the first thing, that if we all first are in a state of shock as soon as the disruption happens, then it takes time to get out of that shock in order to really act on something. So the first thing is, I think you need to prepare the team for having this mindset and having the agility within that team. And the other thing is, of course, scenario planning, where you kind of think through what are all the things that could happen. And of course, we are not smart enough to go through all of the different scenarios and predict all of the different things that can happen. But at least, if you have scenario planning as a regular process, as a rigorous process that you do on a frequent basis, then you can probably come up with certain plans, certain mitigation plans that will help you react in such situations. So what I would strongly encourage is, cultivate that mindset within the team so that they are prepared for disruptions. And then the second thing is, of course, have a rigorous process about how you will deal with all of these disruptions that you could conceivably think about.
Okay. Vinod, I'd like to come to you now. You are a tech expert. We've seen the transformation that the Varroc group has gone through in terms of technology adoption, from a good group to almost a great group now. I mean, it's completely transformed itself, and technology has definitely played a big role. Uh, Adding to what Vasanth mentioned, that you need to have that mindset. Do you think technology can play a big role here?
Technology is an enabler and it gives you speed. So what Vasant said is something which has been done. All the big companies, they have a practice of business continuity planning. That is an exercise which gets done across all the companies, and the scores are getting reviewed periodically so that whatever has to be on the radar is on the radar and we are not losing sight of it. But technology would help you to get access, like what earlier I was talking about, the visibility analysis is, for example, I think we heard about this big bank which bankrupt in the Bay Area. And if there was an electronic company which was funded by them. So if you are not aware and you know that there is an impact of this incident which happened, how does it impact me? There's a linkage. Now, depending on people to go through the Excel sheet and printed paper and realizing and reacting to it, it may happen, but it may happen late. And time is in essence in risk management. The sooner you react to it, you will be better prepared. He was talking about the shock when something happens. It takes time to recover from it. But the sooner, if you have anticipated, you already have a game plan of it. If it was not anticipated, at least you are aware very quickly. So technology does really help in that. And nowadays with LLMs and Gen AI and all, it has become a productivity tool. The things that you want to crunch and you don't have a big investment, you can still use your Excel sheet, feed it to your Gen AI and ask it smartly to crunch the data for you and give the analysis. The insights are something. If there are rows and columns of data, it will be able to give you the insight very quickly. All depends upon how you prompt it. It's up to you. But I think technology definitely helps.
Okay,
Thank
cool.
you.
Amit, I'd like to come to you. Of course, we have to be prepared. We have to be more resilient and agile. But at the same time, we have to be competitive. We have to keep evolving and we have to keep innovating. So, what role do you see innovation and evolution as an organization in this entire scenario?
See, if we look at innovation, I think is the key. Innovation is the key. Basically, if you look at the competitiveness, look at quality, or so it's the one which drives all this. if there is no innovation, I think we are not pushed to look at, what next or how to raise the bar. So, like if we talk about innovation, it's a I will say it's something which keeps us pushing, whether it's in our production, whether it is in our quality, whether it is in automation. It's like basically it's a continual improvement method, where we have something today, we innovate, we improve, but we ourselves we create an opportunity for ourselves to further improve it next time. So innovation is any organization who's not innovative, or who's not spending their time and energy into innovation, who are not carrying a budget to fail while innovating. So I think they are the one who are going to be behind in this race. All those organizations we have seen that who have grown, they have invested a lot in innovation. And when we talk about innovation, you see recently, I think in last, I will say 6 months, there have been a lot of news about, organizations, they are opening up their tech centers in India, and that is purely from the perspective that they have realized that, without innovation, when we are talking about the growth, when we are talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, when we are talking about digital 2047, it's just impossible, without innovation. So it's a key critical component of the whole this exactly, and one cannot overlook it.
Okay, cool. Rajesh, I'd like to come to you. We talk about Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat, but we also talk about Make for the World, which basically means that we are ready to export to the world. Since the other markets are going down, people are looking at India. But of course, at the same time, we have to ensure that we have the right kind of quality and we have the right kind of pricing and so on and so on. Amit also spoke about innovation. So what strategies can automotive suppliers implement to become more export oriented while also serving their Indian OEMs?
So first of all, I will say the biggest challenge for automotive suppliers or tier 1, tier 2 is financial prudence. I see many companies who are very weak in terms of their financial prudence. The moment there is a shock, then things will start collapsing. So first they should try to understand what is their long-term goal, what is their, how they are deploying their capital. Second important is the technology adoption, because India, it is a demanding market, always shortage of every segment, be it the blue collar or be it the white collar. So that is also very important, how they are going to manage the technology merging with their regular practices. And third important thing is that they should be completely aware what is happening in the world. I think today most of the tier 1, tier 2, or they are basically occupied or busy but not engaged with the total scope of what they are supposed to do. Second important thing is there is again a problem of the second generation coming into the picture, because generation 1 and generation 2 and generation 3. So succession planning, I also feel that there are many people who are lagging in the succession plan. What their father did, their son or daughter don't want to do that. And that is where that entire legacy or hard work of 20, 30 years is getting under question mark. I think that is the area where all the owners of the industry basically, they should focus on these three areas. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, sure, please.
See, when we talk about export, I think this is something which I follow, because coming into that business and where we are also trying to expand our footprints, So I look at it, from the four perspective. It's rather not four, more than that. It's QSTP, which means that when we talk about its quality, and when we talk about quality, it's not the quality of only the product. It's also the quality of the people, who we are engaging to produce that quality product. Sometimes we want to, make a product which is world class, but we have not either had the right tools, we don't have the right technology, we don't have the right skill set to produce that product. So it has to be a quality at both sides, both from the product as well as the people. S, there are three components into it. One is your supply chain. Second is your strategy, and third is your service. When we talk about export, delivering the right product to the right customer at the right time, that it's that supply chain, it plays a big role,
Supply
So-
chain strategy and
the supply chain strategy and services.
services.
Because when you're delivering a product, overseas or somewhere, so you need to make sure that how you're going to service that product. Do you have that right, services network available to service that product? So these are three things from the S perspective. Third one is technology. Technology is playing a very big role as far as exports are considered. Say India has become a hub, definitely, but when we really want to capture the market, we need to adopt the technology, which means that technology adoption is not only the IT. It is an adoption of your operation technology. It is adoption of your automations. So technology in all aspects. It cannot be only that we do an IT technology change and we are okay. No. And third is the fourth one is the P, which is your price or a cost. But when we talk about cost, okay, I think we need to be very careful that yes, definitely industry demands the most cost-effective product, but cost-effective not by degrading the quality, cost-effective by bringing in efficiency in your supply chain and your operational efficiency. And when we talk about strategy, I think one of the strategy which we need to look at is why we want to start from scratch. World has done it. We had an opportunity. So I think strategically we need to look at what kind of technical joint ventures we can do to bring in the technology which is already available. Rather than creating it here and wasting time and energy and exactly.
Okay, that was great insight. Now I'm going to check how actively our audiences are listening to us. Because I gave them a chance to ask a question, only one of them asked. So now I'm going to ask a question to the audience. And if they give the right answer, we'll give them a prize. Does that sound cool? Okay, so, and a very recent insight that Amit shared with us. He mentioned QST. Q is for quality, T is for technology. If you know the answer, raise your hand. Don't. शर्मा सर ने ऑलरेडी हाथ ऊपर कर दिया ठीक है बट आई विल गिव यू द अपॉर्चुनिटी सर तो जो एस उन्होंने मेंशन किया देयर आर थ्री थिंग्स दैट ही मेंशनड एंड यू हैव टू नेम दोस थ्री थिंग्स फर्स्ट हैंड शर्मा सर का आया था तो आई हैव टू गिव हिम द अपॉर्चुनिटी आई विल बी फेयर टू यू अमित राइट आंसर करेक्ट इज रम्या हियर शी इज नॉट ऑन ओके बट आपका प्राइज मिलेगा आपको सर प्लीज हैव अ राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज फॉर मिस्टर शर्मा Thank you so much. While we still have 9 minutes, I know Vinod has a very hard stop. He has to be in his office by 11 o'clock, which is next door here. So I'm going to give 1 minute to each of the panelists to share their insights on the role of leadership in improving manufacturing excellence for the Indian automotive industry. Vinod, starting with you.
So the role of the leadership, certain things we already talked about here is respect, trust. As Kapil also said, Amit said that allowing people to innovate, let them fail if it happens, but it's a risk that the leadership has to take and give that confidence that I am behind you. It's not like it's an uncalculated risk. It cannot be into crores, but there is something that it has to be there, collaborative way. So, I think at the end we also talked about respect and trust. The question also he asked, and some of them answered. Like, for example, every year in Varroc there is a review of all the work that has been done. People have to submit, and then the rewards and recognition happens. So today evening we have a reward and recognition for Varroc where a lot of innovative work, cost saving, top line contribution, bottom line contribution, all of in all departments where they were given a opportunity to submit the data, and also it has been evaluated by a special panel. So I think that also gives a confidence back to the team that the work that they do is valued, and it's also a lesson for people that just being an individual contributor and trying to do the work is not important. It's the teamwork which is more important. So I think these are some leadership trait and showing it back in something which is not very subjective, it is very objective, and it helps people to do their best and take out the best from them.
Perfect. If you could put it the other way, you need to have that subjective involvement, but at the same time, that objective detachment needs to be there, right? Yeah. Vasanth, your views?
So I think every one of us and every one of the people that is in the organization has immense potential, right? And it's up to the leaders to bring out that potential. So challenge your people, empower them. I know that sometimes it creates a little bit of conflict when you start challenging people, but I think turn it into a positive challenge, turn it into a positive conflict. And I'm sure that every one of them will rise up to the occasion, because that is what I truly believe, that everyone does have immense potential within themselves. And the other thing I will also say is that as leaders, we have to challenge ourselves. So once your team sees that you also challenge yourself, to put out more than what you thought was possible, they will also rise up to that.
Absolutely. Every seed has the potential to be a tree, but you need to bury that seed. And that's the challenge that you put it to, right? Amit, your views?
So I think it's being said, but so one is definitely the teamwork, because only individuals, individuals, they can win games, okay? But if you need to win matches, it has to be team which will go out and win matches. Second is empowerment, and empowerment with belief. When you empower, don't micromanage them. Let them go out and play that role. Let them take the ownership and shadow them. You can be a sometimes you need not to be a leader for, as a title as a leader. Participate in projects or initiative or programs as team member also. So we do run initiatives, and where we have identified some hypods in our team. They run pan-India projects, for the organization, and I participate with them as a team member. I don't participate, and I'm there in the team as a team member, so that I mentor them as and when required. Otherwise, I just follow the instructions as a program charter, which the project leader tells me to do. Third is that make yourself available to them. I think I've seen over the years that leaders have, because of their other responsibilities and their other deliverables, they sometimes, when they empower, they become isolated. So they create a vacuum. That vacuum should not get created. Connect with your teams informally. That leaders have to do that. And we have this program which we run, where we every month we connect as a team, and we don't talk about business at all. We talk about families, we talk about our passions, we talk about our interest, we talk about what we really want to be and where we want to be and how we want to be. So I think as a leader, we need to be somebody who need to be available to our teams, based on the moment, based on the occasion. Sometimes you need to be a father, sometimes you need to be a brother, sometimes you need to be a colleague, sometimes you need to be a buddy.
Yes. Rajesh?
So I think everybody spoke about the requirement of a leader as a you have to trust your team. I think at the same time, what is more important that leader has to be very, very good listener. It is very rare that leaders are ready to listen something. Probably everybody is hearing. There's a big difference between listening and hearing. Because the moment you start listening, I think 50% problem gets solved, because everybody is wanted to vent out something. As I told you that every leader should think his cabin is basically not as a designation cabin, but it should be treated in a symbolic way. It is a dustbin. Everybody should be allowed to vent out their pain. So the moment people start venting their pain, I think the trust will automatically get built. Leader also has to demonstrate that result counts, but people matters. If you don't matter,
Well said.
if the people are not matters, then I think result has no meaningless, because it will be not sustainable results. And the last important thing is that how he said that, are you available for them? I think today we have WhatsApp groups, everything. You should be easily available to everybody. At least that is very important, that people should have faith that I call this person and this person will at least acknowledge my phone, SMS, or what it may be. So that is very important. Otherwise, what happens, and as rightly said, that it becomes in isolation, and top is always lonely. We should not be at top, even though you are thinking at the top. We should not be in top in terms of isolation. So if you maintain that three things, I think you are trying to become a good leader, and it will give the results also. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think if I collectively use the points shared by all these four people, I should be able to write my next book. Right. So if I could summarize quickly, Vinod spoke about rewards and recognition. Vasanth spoke about challenging the potential to bring out the best in your people. Amit spoke about the power of teamwork and empowering each team member so that they can play their role properly. And Rajesh very well said that every leader needs to be a good listener, and there should be that connect with people so that people stay connected with you, and there's no isolation. On that note, thank you so much, leaders. Can we have a big round of applause for all our speakers here?
Thank you, leaders, for an insightful discussion. Let's give a bigger round of applause, audience, for our entire panel. May I invite on stage Mr. Sanjay Sharma, CEO Mavai Infotech Limited, and Mr. Yatindra Kumar, Business Head, Motul Tech India, to felicitate our esteemed panel speakers. Mr. Amit Kapil from Caparo, Group CTO. Mr. Rajesh Dubbewar, Lumax Auto. Mr. Vasanth Kamath, Brose Automotive. And Mr. Vinod Khode from Varroc. A big round of applause for our dear speakers. Thank you so much for joining us.